Hey Terry. Hi Annette. You guys able to see and hear me?
Yes. Hi. Sorry.
No worries.
Hi, Annette.
Hi.
How
Who's
are
that?
you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you for asking.
It's an enthusiastic
Were you
hello.
were you in our class last week?
Yes. I was listening in. I was silent.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I'll be silent again today too. We continue to go around. Do you like the logo in the background?
I was trying to read that. Yes, I do.
Awesome. See, Joel's going to be there next week, right, Joel?
Yep, I'm gonna have a big, huge American Heritage College symbol.
Nice.
I'm going to put, Annette, I'm going to put like clown hair around me, the nose and everything for next week. What do you think?
No, don't do that.
Don't do that. That's not
There's
Don't
professional.
mess up that that face you got going on right now.
Oh, thank you. You're making me blush.
Oh,
Wow.
So what's going on with you, Annette? How's your day?
so far so good. It's Friday. My mother's turning 80 on Tuesday, so we're like planning all kind of stuff.
Really? What are you gonna do for her? 80 years old. What do you do for somebody who's 80?
Yeah, my mother is like a 65-year-old. She's like energetic, walks, talks, drives. Yeah, she's fine. So we're actually
Right.
going to Morongo. We're taking a chance because she likes to gamble. Hasn't been in 3 years. So we're going to go spend the night and
Okay.
just be safe.
That's awesome. So we're gonna get started here in just a second. I had some technical issues getting everything rolling this morning. It's funny, having technical issues in this atmosphere is very similar to a bad accident on the road on your way to work. But we're here now. And as we get rolling today, we're going to talk about purpose and branding. And we're going to talk about marketing, of course. And we're going to talk about the job interview. Now, these 4 topics that are going to turn into 5 topics and 8 topics, and then, a couple hours of me and you just yapping back and forth, are really focused on letting the world know your so what, or your business is so what, or the organization that you work for, whatever that purpose is. That's kind of the perspective of today. I'm going to start the conversation off with some rah about purpose. And but before I do that, I wanted to ask you about last week. You have any thoughts about it? Anything stick in your head from the commercial? Or I see you got your robe back on today.
Yeah, it's all good. I'm just trying to just get as much in as I can with what's out there because I have no idea what I really, really, really want to do. This was all a shock to my system.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
You're
So
certainly
no,
not
it was
alone
good.
there.
Huh?
You're certainly not alone with that shock.
Yeah. So COVID just added to my already what was going on. It just jumped on that train. It's like, okay, well, let's just add this to it.
Right. Or just it's just time to go and do something new. And whether
Yeah, it really
it's
was.
coming.
It really was anyway. So I'm on that fence of being happy and being pissed off.
Well, being pissed off is a driver.
Huh?
Being pissed off will definitely motivate you.
Oh yeah. I'm good.
So
Especially,
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, especially when I talk to my ex coworkers and it's worse than it's ever been in my department. So it's like, Annette, you got out just in time.
Yeah, blessing in
You
disguise.
know,
Do you think
totally.
that any of are you pissed off more about that? Do you feel like they did you wrong, or are you just
Yeah, all that.
yeah.
All that.
Yeah, that'll be good later because it'll drive you, and it's good to see you're more mad than you are sad sitting on the couch about it.
Oh yeah, because I was. My family was like, "We're gonna buy you a little dog." I kill it. Don't buy me anything. Don't do nothing.
A little doggy.
Yeah, don't.
That's great. So, you're gonna find a lot in my conversations. I'm always talking about how things happen on purpose and that there are no accidents. And I don't profess to know why, but I do. There's been enough things to happen that certainly can't just all be coincidental. And I bring that up now because I think that it's kind of fascinating that this program is beginning, and I'm at a place where I am in my career, and you're at a place where you are inside of change, and we get to navigate around finding out who you are. And what's really amazing about this is that by the time we're finished, a couple of people who don't even really know each other are going to get to know each other. So I'll be asking you some questions today. I muted you for now, but if you have anything, just click on unmute. Holler at me. I'm here. Do you have any questions for me before we get started? Nope. I see the head shaking. Nope. We're good. So let's talk about purpose. I want to talk to you about purpose today in the form of how it can protect you. I want to talk to you about purpose today in the form of how it can drive you. And I want you to understand that as you listen to this, and if you listen to it in a couple of days or it's recorded, obviously, you can listen to it in 2 years, that no matter what stage you are in your life and in your career and in change, or what type of changes in your life, whether it's disruptive or it's encouraging or inspiring, that you'll be able to look at this and apply what we're discussing. We're going to be talking about marketing and branding. While they're very different topics, to enter the workforce or to move inside of the workforce, you need marketing. To run a business successfully, you need marketing, not just to sell products, but also because you have to market your ideas and your core values and your strengths and your skill sets to staff so they end up following you and are more motivated. I'm bringing these up because we're going to talk about a lot of marketing today, but while we talk about it, you want to identify the purpose in it. Now, right now, people listening, yourself included, are very likely in the midst of change. So when I talk about change today, I want you to go all wordplay on it. You can flip the word change for disruption, or you can flip the word change for chaos, or you can flip the word change for illness, or you can flip the word change for car accident or loss of money or a relationship or whatever it is. Change. Because the very thing that grounds you in all of those forms of change is purpose. So, the name of this channel is Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my story today. The guest speaker that we had wasn't able to make it. Actually, a real traffic jam getting to his office. But he'll be here next week, so he'll be able to share the story. But I share my story in the way that I do because there's so many things that happened in it that just can't be coincidental. One of my favorite quotes ever is from Albert Einstein, and it's God's way of staying anonymous is coincidence. I think I might have reversed that, or coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's the things that happen that just like, oh, yeah, maybe. So for me, to give you the synopsis, because I'll get talking about it a long time, but my fight with thyroid cancer and my son's liver transplant and my grandmother's passing all happened within the same few months. To move forward a year from that, we're all still dealing with stuff, trying to figure out how to sort things out with my son, and he's wonderful now. I mean, he's doing great, but he was in some pain. So we needed to go to Dallas to get treatment. So to go back during Justin's, take you to a moment, through Justin's transplant, it was 17 hours long, the surgery. And you do your thing, you're waiting. They tell you to go to the hotel, try to get some rest, but that's not working. So you come back to the hotel and you're sitting. And I'm sitting inside the waiting room and I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. And a guy walks by and taps me on the shoulder and he's like, "Oh, it's just a liver." So I didn't freak out, but I was a little excited. I was like, "What do you mean it's just a liver?" He's like, "Oh man, I understand what you're going through. I'm here and my daughter's getting 3 organs transplanted." What? So the guy's name turned out to be Daryl. Now, I want to talk to you right now while we focus on purpose and that there are no accidents. And I want you to identify the concept of micro choices, micro decisions, the little yeses and nos we make throughout the day that influence the where and how we get to what we get to. Typically, you see it a lot in when you're driving, right? When you're on the highway, every time you go by an advertisement or a billboard, your brain subconsciously has to say, "No, I don't want that. I don't need that. That's gross. I already bought that. I have 10 of those." And then to take it another step further, when you're driving down the road, your brain is also telling itself, "Uh-oh, wait a minute, they're about to turn. Oh, wait a minute. No, you don't want to turn. Wait a minute, go ahead and change lanes. Brake, move, forward, honk, radio, phone. Should I, shouldn't I? Who do I call? I got to resend them." All thousands and thousands and thousands of micro choices that happen throughout our day. Interestingly, we say no a lot. Inside our mind, we're conditioned to say no. But that's another discussion. Right now, it's about all of the choices, the thousands and thousands and thousands of choices that end up getting you to where you're supposed to be. And these micro choices. So I meet Daryl inside the hospital. Our kids are getting transplanted. And he was a source of grounding for me that day because while I was upset that my son's getting 1 organ transplanted, his daughter's there for 3. While I was uncomfortable that I had to drive 35 minutes twice a day, sometimes 4 times a day to go see my son in the hospital, he was there from Texas. Okay. So fast forward 2 years. Lots of stuff happened. I was recovering from cancer, my grandmother's stuff, my sons and chaos. I'm learning how to be a dad. And I decided somehow to get in the landscape company. I only bring it up because there was a lot of change going on. And I get a call on Friday afternoon that we have a doctor in Dallas that can see our son and might be able to find a reason why he's in pain. Okay, put the shovel down. I'm thinking to myself, "Oh my God, I got to get in the car. I got to get home. I got to change." Who knows how many decisions? What do I pack? Do I go? "Oh my God, I'm going to be in the car with my ex, my son. This is going to be a crazy drive. I don't want to do this. How fast can all of the stuff that comes with what you can imagine there?" And then all of the decisions that go from driving from South Florida to Dallas, where we leave on Friday. "Oh, hey, what? Guess what? It's time to ride." And then we got to be there Monday morning for the doctor's appointment. Lots of choices. Imagine on the way there, bathroom breaks, food breaks, hotel breaks. All of the don't change lanes, do change. They're countless. And we get to Dallas, and turns out the doctor was there, was able to help us. But what's more magical about this for me now is that inside that doctor's appointment, inside that office, was Daryl, the same guy that grounded me while my son was going through his transplant. There is no way that all of the stuff that happened in the 2 years prior, all of the stuff that happened leading us to get our kids getting transplanted together, and then that weekend of fun driving over to Dallas with my ex and my son, can't be accidental. Okay, listen, I get that this isn't the first time in your life where you've heard there are no accidents. But let me add a little something to it. There are no accidents. But what does that mean? What do you do with the fact that, okay, yeah, there are no accidents? Like, is it just fine now? All right, yeah. No, because the opposite side of the flip side of the coin of there are no accidents is purpose. So what do you do with purpose? Well, whether you have purpose now or you don't have purpose, you know that purpose will push you. Mad about something, feel like you've been done wrong. Okay, the purpose in that is to get done right. What you do with that is a whole different, a different question. The how you get right is different. But in this particular example, the being mad is where the purpose is. And that's where sometimes being mad can be inspirational almost. Because if the emotion is going to push you into an atmosphere where your growth is, I wish I had a better word here, where your growth is growing. But you know what I mean? If the anger is the turmoil and the disruption that you need in your life to drive you to be better, then the uncomfortableness that comes with the anger is the growth process. Like when we're younger, and as I'm learning, as we get older, the growth process literally hurts. As a kid, it's the ankles and hips and stuff. As an older man, it's the knees and the hands, my neck. I feel like he's ill, my neck and my back. But it's real. So just stay focused here. So the motivation, the growth, the motivation and the purpose, the change in the purpose, the change in the drivers, the change in the motivation, the disruption or the chaos in all of it are purposeful. Now, on a side note, because this class is about creating a professional mindset, the development will happen. In the mindset, you talk about where the purpose comes from. I don't always have the answer to that. But I want to discuss it today from the standpoint of that whatever you believe in religiously, and if you don't believe in anything religiously and you believe in that it's the universe out there to take care of us and teach us and help us grow, there's a few things that we all tend to agree on no matter what. That whatever it is that's greater than us is all good, all loving, all knowing. And as an adult, you can realize that at this point, your purpose in life is to grow and learn. Because the more you grow and learn, the better your life is. Maybe that happens in stages. Maybe that happens in decades. Maybe that happens in seasons. None of us are always harmonious, and none of us are always aligned because we grow. What you're like when you're 20 and what you're like when you're 30 and what you're like when you're 40 and what you're like when you're 50, all different human beings. Certainly when you're 60 and 70, because you grow. Whether you want to or not, your experiences are going to make you grow. How you process those experiences are going to make you grow. And this is another, I don't want to say a side note because it deflates the gravity of it, but purpose helps drive your relationships. Identifying the who you are in floating purpose around your life is a literal game changer, because you begin to attract the people that you want in your purpose. And I brought up deflation because the law of attraction here is real. And when you're aligned with your purpose, you start to attract the good stuff that you want to build for that purpose. Now, when you're 20 and when you're 30, the things that you do to find your purpose may be very different. 30, 40, 50, they are definitely different. Because as an adult, you have different needs. This whole conversation, from marketing to branding to the interview to purpose right now in this first segment, it's all about your needs. Yes, financial, but also spiritual and psychological and professional, familial. your needs. And when you're trying to figure out the who you are and the what it is that's going to drive you, when you want to figure out, you start to begin the process of identifying what your brand is and what you're going to sell people, which in fact is purpose. The first place you begin is with what you need. And yes, this includes money. Because what you need to do is pay the rent. And what you need to do is pay for power and phone and gas and car and clothes. What you want is to move into a bigger house. What you want is to get a car with less miles or maybe brand new. And I'm not saying that you can't go get what you want right now. I'm just saying that the beginning of purpose finding starts at what do I need? And then you talk about your passion. What genuinely makes you happy? For me, and I'll give you an example because we're going to talk about going to get a job instead of taking a job. And that revolves around finding a job that's aligned with your purpose. But what if you can't find a job that totally drives you? Does that mean that you're not going to find balance in your life? Oh, that's right. Purpose helps find balance too. Because your life is like a pie, right? And each slice of the pie is a different component. One slice is your fitness and health. Another slice is your finances. Another slice is your job, and then your relationships. And however many slices you have. And you want to have them in different slices with different focuses, but they all have the same purpose, and that's to fulfill you. And when change comes, it doesn't burn the whole pie up. It just maybe drops a slice. So maybe an injury only hurts one side of your pie. Maybe you get sick and it only influences one half of your pie because a sickness will influence the finances and your health sides. But what you're not going to do is have the anxiety and the feeling like your hair's on fire because you know your purpose. For me, I spent a long time teaching online before Zoom and all the you could pseudo face-to-face it. But as you can tell from the first couple of minutes of being around me, I like to be in this. I need to be some face-to-face. I need to be able to interact. So in one side of my life, I'm able to teach and help, but it's all online. So I'm not able to really get this. So I get a job teaching at a campus in the evening. But then there's another part of me that really wants to help the community around me, more so than changing lives inside the classroom. And it has to do with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So I add a Saturday morning or two and change a kid's life who's fighting a critical illness. And I exercise and I go to school. And while my pie might have more slices than I want sometimes, they're all focused on the same purpose. My business, the Make-A-Wish, the teaching, ordinary people doing extraordinary things, my podcast, my school, all of it, the same purpose. Starts with helping people and then how. And I'm not saying that your purpose needs to be helping people and figuring out how. But if you're going to start a business or you're going to move into a new career, you need to find out what drives you. And if you were selling a product, we would talk about why. If you're going to sell yourself, we would talk about why. You call me up later, hey, Professor Joel, or hey, Joel, hey, Nagel, whatever you want to call me. Yo, you remember me in that class that day? Or, oh, I heard you. And we go to talk, I'm getting ready to job interview. I was wondering if you could help me. Yeah, sure. What's up? I'd probably be a little bit more excited to hear from you than, yeah, sure. What's up? But well, I get you on the phone or we're in a class. You're like, listen, I'm trying to get a job. Oh, that's great. Doing what? Well, I'm not sure. First problem. You're not sure why you're going to get a job or what kind of job you want? Because that's where the job search starts. I don't know if you could see me. That's where it starts with these fingers. because you know what you like, you know what you want, and you know what you need. Well, the next step is you Google those things. What kind of companies offer this? What kind of companies provide this? And we're going to talk in a few minutes from the marketing component of being socially responsible. Listen to me. If you're not doing things to benefit the people around you, then you need to call me so we can talk about why. Because your purpose in life, if nothing else, is to make those around you better. It's the same role you have as a parent, and as a teacher, and as a coach, and as a friend. Your job from day one is to be the best you possible. And the best you possible lives in a purpose-driven life. That is literally the quote from my business, guiding people to live a purpose-driven life. Because I can tell you, when you don't have that, your life's going to fill up with anxiety. Structure, purpose, why, they are, and I'm not saying structure, purpose, why. I'm saying structure and purpose and why are in our life in the very cellular components of our DNA. You think it's an accident that the human body needs to sleep in a rhythm? No, because that circadian rhythm, I said that right, is how our bodies recover. It's how our bodies heal. This amazing machine we live in. Rhythm, structure, purpose, why? You need it because it's going to tell you when to turn. It's going to help you make decisions. It's going to help you take action. Because, like the phrase ignorance is bliss, that comes from if you don't know, it don't hurt you. So once you know that purpose can help almost save your sanity, how do you not do everything you can to figure out what it is? And that's a bit of a rhetorical question because you're listening to me, like we're here right now. So there is a desire and you've taken action to find your purpose, to be a better you. And Annette, I mean, your mom she's turning 80. Happy birthday. She looks like she's 65, chilling, doing whatever. It's very likely you're going to be the same thing. And on the other side of that, well, not on the other side, on this side of that, in 2020, the 80-year-old of today is not the 80-year-old of 1970. 1970, you hit 80, you probably get in a record book. And that's a bit of an exaggeration, but you know what I mean? Like you were expected at 65 years old, you retire and it's over. The problem with that is, yeah, maybe you make your money by 65 and you don't have to work, but then what? You still need a purpose. Hey, 65, 75, 85, 95. At some point in your life, not even at some point's the wrong word. I was going to try to come around that. Wasn't slick enough for it. At all points in your life, you're going to need purpose. And if you're not sure, go walk into an assisted living facility. Go get around some people that are sick and have lost their purpose. You don't even have to go that far. Find one of your friends who has no hope. Because that's where the real pretty side of purpose is hope. Because of course you can't have a real long conversation about purpose and branding and marketing without talking about goals. And you don't just write goals on the board or on a strategy wall or in a brainstorming session. Man, I've got these goals. That's dope. I'm done. No. The goals have rewards and recognition, and those things make people feel good. And we all want to do things that are going to make us feel good. So that becomes a world of, I hope I get it. I hope I do it. I hope it happens. A lot of people get stuck there. I hope. Because all of us have had periods of time where things that aren't real great have happened to us for a significant period where you almost get conditioned. Listen, I'm not preaching here. I live in that world. Okay. Had a long time in my life when I just couldn't get my head right, wasn't making the right decisions over and over and over again. The older I get, the longer it took to fix them. Now, we don't do that because I know my purpose. I don't do anything that's not going to help that. It's that simple, but it's still not perfect. I still need help. I still need to market. This message I'm screaming today is no different than it was 5 years ago. Well, it's maybe a little different. I think I'm funnier now. But purpose has always been a thing. But the more conditioned you are for things to fall apart, not that I was scared of it, but even still today, my life is like I couldn't change anything. I mean, of course, I'd take $1 million. I'd get a nice house. But the chaos, the anxiety, still waiting. Something going to slip up. Something going to trip up. I don't feel as bad about it anymore because I know that as long as right now I live my life with purpose, as long as I do the best me now with my deficiencies, my stuff, the good parts of me, my whole pie now, right this moment, that's all I can do. I can't feel bad about that. I can't put more pressure on myself. I have to be honest with myself. Bro, you're a little lazy. You going to sleep early. The stuff stays. So I'm not saying that you find purpose and then all of a sudden, all the chaos and the stuff that you've been through in your life goes away. No. The moment you step into, I see purpose, and that because I see purpose and I know that things don't happen by accident. Listen, if you're religious, not even super religious, but if you believe in God, you've never been considered one of God's adults. Never. Ever. I've read the book. You've been considered God's children. And what do children do? We learn. And what do our parents drop on us sometimes? Lessons that we really don't understand that feel like punishments. So if you knew today that you were going to have to suffer for 18 months, suffer, but 18 months and a day, your life is going to turn into magic, you'd be like, all right, come on. I could do it. I could do my 18 months. But we don't get to know that. So we get some worry. Oh, how long is it going to last? What am I going to do with myself? What's going to happen? Whoa. You have Joel in your life now. What's going to happen? You're going to live your purpose. What do I do now? You get to your purpose. Oh my God, but purpose. Why? Purpose. You don't need to wonder if you're going to create an organization that's going to have 500,000 people in it tomorrow. Because if you're going to create a business, it's going to have a so what? You're going to do something with your life? I'm going to ask you a question. So what? What do you want to do? Because you have to be able to answer that. Like not just because you're trying to figure out what to do and earn this professional mindset and be professionally developed and get a job that's going to pay you bills, because you need to know it. Like you need to know who you are and what you're doing. You need a reason to get out of bed, because even the people with the greatest purpose in life have days where they just straight up don't want to get out of bed. Because the human being is dynamic. We have days, we stress out, we work too hard. We're overwhelmed. It's been no and no and no and no and no. And whether they're big no's or little no's, they still feel the same. Little bit of rejection and a lot of rejection. What's the phrase? What weighs more, a pound of feathers or a pound of bricks? It's still a pound. It's still a lot. I don't know if I even just made that up, but it sounded like something. It doesn't matter if it's just a little bit, because a little bit of stress for a long time will make you sick, just like a lot of bit of stress for a short minute. And I can promise you that the type of cancer that I had messed with my hormones. So when I would get stressed out, I would get so tired I'd have to sit down. The universe got some tricks. But it's real. If you imagine your body like a machine or a car and you're the engine, you can't just go in the car, even if it's in park or neutral, and step on the gas. The car's not going to brake. It's going to run. The engine's going to work. The radio will turn on. Everything's going to work. But for how long? Probably not as long as you want. Or maybe it doesn't just break down a little bit. Maybe it just goes, the engine just blows on you. Instead of where if you didn't run it as hard as it can go, if you drove the car with purpose and only took it where it needed to be, had a use for you, well, it's going to last you a lot longer. Now, all of a sudden, purpose extends your life. Purpose extends your car's life. It's commercial. Buy a Honda. But it's not a joke, because purpose grounds you. It's going to stress you out too, right? Because if you have purpose and you have passion behind that purpose, what is it that you're going to want to do with it? Let the whole world know. And at some point, you got to take a nap. At some point, you got to get some sleep. That's been a tricky thing for me to manage. Because I have a lot of stuff going on, all magic, I have to take stuff away. I was ready to go to bed last night at 11:30. But I was like, man, I could just go over to the desk. I could get a little something done. And I had to get used to a place where it's okay to go to bed. Because this morning, I'll be maybe a 90% Joel. Instead of at 11:30, an 80% Joel. Both are effective. Both will motor through. But which one do you want to apply to your day? And it is a choice. So purpose will guide you, your business, your life, your family, during chaos, definitely during the good times. Identifying your purpose, like I said earlier, starts with needs. As an adult, you have to put needs as only part of the recipe, right? Or your needs as only part of the recipe. What does that mean? You're trying to live a purpose-driven life. You want to do what makes you happy, but you have relationships around you. Sometimes when you start to find your purpose, the people around you don't like it. In some worlds, we call them haters. In other worlds, they can be brothers, sisters, moms, dads, or friends. They could be coworkers or your managers. Really, anyone not devoted to you more clearly defining your purpose is an anchor. You're trying to fly. You're trying to find your superpower. How are you going to do that if there's people around you that are adding to the already full brain of no's? And you develop over the course of your life strength to plow through the nose, confidence to handle the rejection, the ability to care less about what other people think. Starts with self-confidence. And self-confidence starts with knowing who you are. And at this particular component in our discussion, we're going to move now into more of the branding and marketing side. So I have a PowerPoint presentation for the marketing side that I'm going to get into in a second. I want to talk to you a little bit about the interview side of things. People today, especially with the onset of COVID and 40 million people losing their jobs, there are a lot of people looking for work. And it's not, raise the alarm and look at this sign that a lot of those people who lost their jobs and a lot of those businesses that went out of business, a lot of them just didn't have a clearly defined purpose. And that's putting a lot of people in the world of having to interview. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that jobs are a little bit more competitive because there's more people looking for them. That means that jobs are a little bit more competitive because there's just not as many. You want to make sure that you can set yourself ahead of the competition. The first step is finding out what you like. Why do you want the job? I need a job so I can get this done. I need a job so I can get that done. I want a job so I can help this. You should be thinking about what the dream job is. What's the dream job, no matter what the pay? What's the dream job with just the pay? Have you even thought about it? Annette, what would be your we'll give a little break to Joel for a second. What would be your dream job?
A job that I was in the boss and I helped people, and well, what I want to do is what I did. I don't know if I told you this part already. I want to resolve complaints, whatever that might be. But I don't want an 8 to 5, and I don't want a bunch of bosses with attitudes, and I don't want, so I have an idea of what I want to do. I know exactly what I don't want to do, but I know the direction I want to go in.
That's a big step, the knowing what you don't want to do.
I know what I don't want to do.
Yeah. And, it's interesting because a lot of people, when they look for work, don't think that I want to solve problems. I want to jump into a conflict and sort it out.
Exactly.
But there's a need for it because there's a lot of people that would prefer to avoid conflict.
Right.
And one of the things that all of us have to do, and there's lots of free ones on the internet, there's some that you can pay for. We have them in this program, and they're personality tests.
Okay.
Because people don't realize that they might be more risk averse, or they might be conflict avoidant, or they might enjoy the chaos that comes from resolving conflict, because that's really attractive to some employers, right? If I'm an employer and I'm looking at people and I have to, I know it's a little chaotic, or, we'll talk about this a little bit more in marketing. If you have an atmosphere where employees have high pressure sales, there's going to be conflict. Where there's competition, there'll be conflict. You have to be able to resolve it. And as a business model, people don't want to pay attorneys to resolve conflict. So there's something there.
Right.
That's interesting. This is going to be fun to pick apart over the next, however long we're crossing paths. So,
Okay. I'm down
well,
for the long haul.
all right, cool. So I'm getting used to seeing that comfy robe.
Well, I have a couple other ones, so you'll be surprised next
Oh,
week.
all right. All right. That's funny.
It's
So
early for me. When I worked swing shift. I worked from 1 to 9:45, but I wasn't on a clock.
1 in the morning to 9:45?
1 in the afternoon.
Oh, so you're used to what time?
Yeah, I'm
Where are
used
you
to
at now?
lounging around till noon, and then I live 7 minutes from work. So yeah,
That's
I got ideas.
so interesting. So when we talk about, the type of jobs, going to get a job versus going to take a job, for you, it would be important to find a job that meets something remote or
Close.
right, because prep time in the morning for you, having to wake up and go, isn't likely going to suit your personality profile.
Mm-mm.
So you have to add, it's not like some people will be like, oh yeah, whatever, I'll just get up because I'm an adult and I'm responsible. But you want to find something that serves that. And that it really serves your life purpose. I'm like that too. I work a lot of hours, but I don't have to do them first thing in the morning. But it took a little bit of learning to realize that I don't have to. And this is what is fascinating about having a life that's on purpose, is that it removes a lot of the guilt for the things that you're doing. You're doing things to move towards a purpose, then it's okay. And that can be good and bad, right? Like guilt can serve a purpose. If your brain is telling you, your heart's telling you, you're feeling a little guilty about working out an extra day, or feeling a little guilty about eating an extra burger. That's your body telling you put it down. You have to be in tune with it. I don't tell people not to party. I don't get into people's lives. I mean, if they're an addict of some kind, then I'll try to get in their life about what that's serving. But if you like to drink, or if you're a smoker, or whatever it is that you do, as long as it doesn't disrupt your purpose, you have to figure out if it's hurting or harming you. And that same concept jumps into the interview process, because getting a job is all about relationships. I think ultimately, when people lose a job that they've had for a long time, whether it's because of COVID or new boss or whatever it is, but circumstances outside of their own control, a big part of the emotional turmoil that comes with that is exactly what happens when there's a death. It's the sense of loss.
Or
and
divorce.
You go through the same stages. It's a loss of relationship.
Right.
It's your family. You're with people. I tell my students this, and I tell when I'm trying to set up a selection and recruitment program for a company, you're looking to hire someone or bring someone into a company that's going to be with you for at least 40 hours a week. They need to have the same purpose. Because if anybody listening to this, or you've been in a relationship that was worked out for a long time and then it didn't, that's because at the beginning you shared the same purpose and at the end you didn't. Because two people with the same purpose don't walk away from each other. I mean, because you have the same purpose. And I'm not saying that not having the same purpose is a problem. My ex-wife and I didn't have the same purpose. I didn't realize that at the beginning. My wife and I now, we're chilling. It makes all of the stuff, I want to say the fighting, but really, I mean, that's all on me usually, but it gives it guidance. The why. The what and the when. We get frustrated with that. And that becomes a bit of a test of faith. Because if you are a faithful person and you do believe in something bigger than you, then you're always where you're at when you're supposed to be. God didn't make a mistake and whoops it that day, and things just started to happen to you. Like, so then what's the purpose? And that searching process can be challenging. But that searching process is going to lead you into walking into an interview one day to communicate to people what your brand is, the who you are. And you're going to market to them and you're going to tell them, hey, this is why I'm here and this is what I'm doing. And I'm jumping the marketing side because I want to close out with it, but we're in the interview now. Before you go to the interview, what do? Well, what you do, because you know your purpose, because you know the job you want, the job you're going to go out and get, not just take because you have to have it. I mean, listen, I'm not saying don't take the job because you got to pay your bills. But you take a job that doesn't fulfill you to pay your bills now because you're looking for something greater. And you start that search with, you can even ask Siri, hey, Siri. Mine turned on. I do this in class. I'll ask everybody to get their phones on. But you ask your phone, what are the most socially responsible organizations near me? What organizations help the people the most around me? What organizations feed the homeless? I have a student that is into craft work. She likes to do craft work, arts and crafts. Okay. She's looking for a job. Well, the first step in the job, what kind of businesses do this? You might not be going building clay pots, but maybe you can go learn the logistics somewhere of how to run a business that way. And you're looking it up, not just because you need to find the right one, but when you get the job interview, you're in the interview walking with confidence because, one, you have questions ready. Remember, this is about relationships. You're marketing the good about you so people that find that attractive and valuable want you. So just like they're checking you out and what you put on paper, if that's real, you need to be checking them out. What's the boss like? Are they ethical? Do a little Google search. What comes up? Do you like what you see? Do you not like what you see? Can you be tolerant of some of the stuff? I don't know the answer to these questions, but you have to ask them. You go in, sit in front of a boss or a prospective employer, and they want to hire you. We love the interview. We love your resume. You meet all the qualifications, blah, 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 blah. And when can you start? Can you start tomorrow? Well, I need to give my boss 2 weeks because, oh, no, it's okay. Well, we need you right away. Whoa. What do you think they're going to do to you? That should be a glaring red flag. But you know what happens? When you have to just go take the job, you don't look at the red flags. Look at the things that happened in the relationships in your life that didn't work out. You needed some love. You needed some security. So you look past the red flags. Nobody can hate you for that. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. And you're not going to keep doing the same thing over and over again because now there's purpose in your life. So somebody's red flag now is going to say to you, wait a minute. Oh, that's not helping me. Deuces. Maybe you don't take the job interview. Maybe you do. Whatever it's going to be, you need to walk into that interview with confidence, knowing I have these 3 questions. I have these 5 questions. You don't have to memorize them. Write them down. Because you don't want distractions in an interview. You don't want hiccups. You need it to be authentic. You need to know, though, if there is a hiccup, that you run through it. You just keep going. Because that's what you would do in the real world. And that's what the interview process is supposed to be, is a measurement of how you're going to respond. Excuse me. It's a communication process back and forth. It's like you're courting, you're dating each other. Okay, this company looks good. Let me see if I can holler at you. All right, what's up? You want to go out to dinner? What kind of food you like? Yeah. For Annette, like you can't date somebody that wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work. That's not gonna. You got to dig in with that. So if you're looking for a job, and they're like, well, we need somebody to start at 6 o'clock, and whoa, sorry, if something opens up later, okay. And you can talk about that because you're aware of your purpose. You know who you are and what makes you happy. But because you went in with some information, listen, it's 2020. You know who's doing the interview. So don't you Google them? And when I interview people, most of them, as soon as they bring up the Make-A-Wish Foundation or organ donation, I know they've done a little search on Joel. And I like it. I don't find it suspicious. I want that. I want people vested in where they work because I'm spending half my life with you. Legitimately more time than I would be with my family. 40 hours a week, come home, chilling, work, school, whatever. It's so you want to figure out what kind of relationships you'll be able to build. Do they focus on communication and team cohesion? Do you read a couple of reviews where, oh, this boss, they don't like ideas? Whoa. Or maybe you find somebody who just is such a, I don't want to say a soft leader, but doesn't scream alpha. And because of that, there's conflict resolution problems inside the organization. This is for you and that too, If your personality test tells you that you are really effective at handling disruption and conflict resolution, then that should be what you walk in with. It starts with rapport. That's a strange word, the way it's spelled, R-A-P-P-O-R-T. Like, it doesn't sound like that. Rapport. Otherwise known as good vibes. Because that's the goal. You need to be able to walk into the interview, sit down, and get that job. And you do that by communicating the purpose. They're always going to ask you, why do you want the job? Oh, well, because I want to be a team player and I like to come. No, because I see in your company's vision and mission that they are focused on helping the environment, the people around them, and I really like your product. You can joke with them because that's rapport. That's vibes. You want a boss that you can't talk to? If you don't care, then it doesn't matter about that component of your manager. I know people who would prefer, among nothing else, to sit in the back of the building and just work on accounting stuff. Don't call me, don't talk to me, just send me all of the numbers and I will work them out. It drove me nuts. Like when I was trying to manage her, I couldn't get my head around it. like well, you don't want to talk? Like, you're not chatty? Like, you just, what? Like, come on, we're all going on break. No, it's like, please? Eventually she had to come. She's like, listen, Joel, I was like, all right, like, I don't mean to offend you. I was so worried that I was excluding her that I was excluding her. Lesson learned, Joel. And as a boss and as a manager and as a leader, your job is to get the most out of the people around you. That's your job with your friends. That's your job at home. That's a job in relationships. And what else are you in a relationship for? To do nothing? No. Something. The reason I'm bringing up the word rapport, even though I'm not a big fan of the double P's in it, is because we're going to be jumping into marketing in a second or four. And marketing is the selling of stuff. We're already talking about the brand and the selling of you. What's it sound like when you just show up and start talking about you? Very different than when you show up and you establish some rapport. You become real salesy. And what you can't be inside of an interview is salesy, because that comes off with you being not authentic. And whether the person interviewing you knows it or not, you're going to send off an inauthentic vibe, and they're likely just to remember that than anything else from the interview. You're going to have a challenge on your hands. It's a new place. It's a new person. So what? No. I'm not asking you, so what you're nervous, and so what it's a new challenge. I'm saying, so what? Because the words, quotes, so what? You're walking in there with your so what? It's like a big baseball bat. You're walking into the office, so what? Boom. That'd be really funny. That'd be like a really funny job interview. But what I mean is that you walk in there with your, this is what I can do for you. This is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. This is why you need me. I didn't bring up ignorance is bliss for nothing. Once you know you can help someone with whatever it is that you have a responsibility to do it. You have it. I'm not saying that if there's a car accident, you have a responsibility to stop and help somebody out. Like, although I would argue maybe, and I would argue maybe not with COVID, but I don't know. But hold the door for somebody. Let them cross into your lane. Let them talk. Whatever it is. So, your brand, you're in the interview, you've walked in. What's up? I want this job. Oh, really? Yeah, and I want this job because you need me. No, don't do that. Because that's the opposite of being salesy, right? Like, you have to find a place where you are talking. The so what's important, because if you walk into me and tell me, listen, well, here, I'll do it with me. If I walk over to you and I'm like, listen, I can talk. I'm funny, got good jokes. I'm loyal. You should hire me. What? Okay. Same thing. I'm intuitive. I'm dedicated. And I know how to help you find purpose so that you can deal with change. And I do that by creating atmospheres of funny, and I speak really well to communicate a message. Oh, I'll take that. I used to communicate that message like this. Move a little bit. I would come in an interview. Like, hi, my name is Joel. Hi, Joel, welcome. What can we do for you? Well, I like to teach people about change, and I was one, actually nervous because I didn't realize that this is an exchange of information. It took me a couple of bad job interviews. Took me a couple of times in jobs that I knew I should have had. All of the stuff that you've been through has not been on accident. You can't just say all of a sudden, God whoopsed it, or the universe made a mistake on you. That means it has purpose. If anything, all of this stuff that you've been through is helping you prepare for what you're about to go through. And I'm not saying that it's going to get worse. You're definitely going to have challenges again in your life. You know that because you're not done growing. And if you're not done growing, then you're not done with change. So then the best thing to do would be figure out the best way to manage change. And it starts with purpose. And the purpose is the brand. The brand is the purpose. The purpose is the brand. So I felt like I should just go back and forth with it a few more times, but I was the purpose is the brand. Got my little what boogie on there. So you've walked into the office to see somebody you're hopefully going to work for one day, and you've dropped your so what. Well, the reason that you know that they need your so what is because you've done a little investigation on them, and you found out that they have a need. Right off the bat, you know they needed a need because somebody left. There's a hole in their system they need filled. What's the need? Look at the job. See what it entails. Google the job skills. See what they entail. Because when you go in to see the manager, the leader, whoever's doing the interview, maybe it's a panel interview, you want to market yourself through the so what. Well, I know you have an opening in this position, in this part of your company, and I know that that position actually does this, and these are where my skills will really help you. You have to make the person doing the interview feel a certain kind of way about not hiring you. Your goal should be inspiring them so much that they almost want to fight for you when they get to their boss or whoever it is that's got to make the decision that it's, he's like, listen, I need them. This is who's going to make my company better. And you don't go in telling somebody that, yeah, in the interview, I'm going to make you more money. Nobody wants to hear that, but they want to hear that. One of the things that I make sure, especially when I'm in an education institution doing an interview, is to tell my boss that the one thing, my immediate goal is to stay off your radar. I don't want to add anything to your plate. I don't want you calling my name. I don't want it coming up in meetings unless it's for something Joel's doing a great job. That's the need I'm trying to give him right away, because managers don't want to hire people. They don't want to deal with that. One of my specialties is in the selection and recruitment process, because I think it's really important, but a lot of companies don't have succession plans. It just means if somebody leaves, who's going to take the place? There's a hole in the company. You're going for the interview. You let them know, these are what I'm good at. This is what I can do. And you want to try to avoid I'm a good communicator and I'm an active listener. Like, of course you are. That's the first page on Google about skills you need to be in an interview. Don't be everyone else. In my life, sir, or in my life, ma'am, when I'm given a goal, there is nothing that will stop me from getting it. That's why I want to work here. Your company seems goal-oriented. I was reading your mission, and you don't have to repeat the mission statement. Everybody knows you're a human being looking for a job. You can memorize stuff. Yay! Couple words, report, communication, chat, talk. Because you come off fake for 2 or 3 words in that interview, and that's what they're left with. People remember how you make them feel forever. A lot longer than what you told them. So you have to be able to control the vibe. You have to be able to control the direction and the narrative. You want to make sure you communicate that you're reliable. The first place that you communicate that you're reliable is on your resume. Because it has to be not seamless in terms of the qualities of it. That's a discussion for something else. But it has to be in terms of your calendar. You can't have gaps in time. People want to know what you did. Were you unemployed? Okay, why? Did you do anything with your skills then? Okay, well, what? The reason I'm bringing this angle up is because if you go just take a job somewhere instead of get a job somewhere, when you just take it, and avoid those red flags, you could find yourself in a position where the place you're working for has a bad reputation. And what do you do with that? You can't put it on your resume. So then you have a gap. Another reason why your purpose and the job that you find and the business that you run is so important. And my suggestion would be, in any circumstances, whatever you plan for the future, working for someone is okay, but you need to focus on trying to eliminate as many people as possible that can fire you. Should be your goal. Sometimes you're going to have to work for people. I want to be in the education world. Right now, there's, I think, 3 people that can fire me in the job that I'm at. With another job I work at, there's like 40. The job where I have 3 people, I'm more, they get a little bit more Joel. The job where there's like 40 people that can fire me, I do my job. I go into my classroom. I'm chilling. Yesterday, I was asking, do you think that I could? And then I realized he was stressed. And I was like, actually, you know what? I think I just suggested for next month. Nope. The atmosphere where I have 3, I can call the owner. I can send a message. Hey, I have an idea. Because I want to be heard. I want to be valued. Which are also components for things that you look for in an organization. I live in South Florida. And one of the companies that's in South Florida is JM Lexus. And JM Lexus, first floor of this building, daycare, a pseudo little doctor's office, dry cleaning, a coffee shop, sandwich shop. Okay. And right off the bat, the first thing is, oh, wow, that's awesome. I want to work there. Employees must be happy. And they have stuff there, right? Because what are people doing? You know, they say the number one thing stolen in America is time from employers. I don't know why employers, a little accent in that one. But people working, you're off at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock comes around and your brain starts to think about the kids in the house and the dry cleaning and the daycare and the coffee. So while Jim Moran is actually adding things to enhance the quality of his employees' lives, he's also ensuring that in the morning, his employees are there and ready to work. And then in the evening, they work till their maximum potential at the end of the day. Because if you cut out just a half hour at the end of the day and a half hour in the morning, that's 5 hours a day. That's a half a week of work every month. You can't survive in a business that way. So even if Jim Moran doesn't care about his people, he adds those things to make them happier. But what happens with that? It gets a reputation. Somebody is sitting at home or out to dinner with their friends and like, oh, I'm so stressed at work today. When I got out, I had so many things to do. And somebody else says, you know what? They have all those things on the first floor of my company. Oh, really? I want to work there? Because this is what you want. This is what you need. In your life, you need people that want to be there. In your job, you need people that want to be there. Because, bro, if you're not interested in being in this game with me, you got to get out. Because you can get out. Because you're broken somewhere for being in my life, and I'm broken somewhere for allowing it. We both need to be better and shine forward. And I know, I don't care if 100,000 people watch this video, every single human being has experienced that. You've been in a relationship in your life, that's what's happened. But you know when that doesn't happen? When people are sharing the same purpose. You don't live a purpose-driven life that's free of fighting. You don't live a purpose-driven life that's free of stress. It's uncomfortable, but it gives you direction, gives you motivation, and it gives you clarity. And when you need to communicate to the world what your brand is inside of an interview, well, that's where it starts. The interview process is going to have objections. It's going to have some uncomfortable moments. Typically. There are times when the rapport is right, the vibe's right, it's a discussion, and you're gone. Feels like you're going to get the job, and then something happens and you don't. It doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. Maybe you didn't clarify how well you can meet objectives. Maybe they just didn't catch your vibe. Maybe they don't even need you. They just have to interview a few more people before he hires his buddy or she hires her husband. Who knows? You don't know. But what you don't know doesn't stop there. It also means you don't know if they need you. It means that you don't know if they're going to call you back. It means you don't know if they know someone who needs someone. So you better handle yourself right. And while we move into marketing, the handle yourself right. You close the interview out. You're marketing yourself. You're branding yourself. You're communicating. This is what I do. This is what I can. Make sure you ask for the position. This is why I'm here. This is what I want. Doesn't guarantee it. But you asked. Focused, efficient, powerful, strong, assertive. Your brand, who you are, is your superpower. It's your flex. And it's real. And listen, you could be 50 years old, 40 years old, 30 years old, 70 years old, and had people in your whole life thumb you down. You're not really that good. You're not really that smart. You're not really that pretty. You're not really that strong. Wait till you break free from that conditioning. That's no different than the nose in your head all day. No different. That's why we started this conversation about purpose. Because you know what makes you happy. You have this conversation in your head. So then you just figure out how you go get it. What do? That's going to have a lot to do with what you haven't done. Don't get scared of it. That uncomfortableness that you felt, embrace it, hug it, squeeze it. Because it's part of you. It's just as much part of you as all the awesomeness. But it doesn't have to have the same amount of influence. And it won't be able to. Because once that purpose is in your head, guess what? The inner voice doesn't have much to say. The doubt will still be there. Don't get up. You don't need to do that. You're chilling. That's always going to be there. But purpose helps get it. So, I said I was going into this marketing discussion like 75 times. Any questions? Terry, Annette? Okay. All right, so I have a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to go through. I will not finish it by 3 o'clock. So I'll go through some of it and I'll bring it up again next week. I'm going to share my screen so you can see this PowerPoint presentation. And okay. You can see that okay, Nat? Okay, I saw it. All right. It's funny. I can't read lips, but I know yes and no. So I figured that one out. All right. Why study marketing? Move stuff here. So, why study marketing? Well, it's important to your business, society, and obviously your career stuff. We talked about that in the discussion about branding and purpose. Okay. You're going to need the social side of marketing, the social components of our world right now, to let the world know what your so what is. Okay. There isn't a part of your day that you aren't going to be marketing your brand, because it's who you are. Your business is aligned to who you are. What you sell is aligned with who you are. So your brand is going to be marketed all the time. Okay. We're not going to cover all of these outcomes, but we're going to go through most of them. We're going to talk about the term marketing on purpose. We're going to go through some of the philosophies, because there are multiple ways to deliver the you. We'll discuss some differences between sales and marketing orientations, but I might just might skip through that a little bit so I can get into the goods. Let's start here. So, I can see that or not. Not going to let me do it. So it's an organizational activity, set of institutions and processes. And up here, it's a philosophy, an attitude, a perspective, or an orientation that stresses customer satisfaction. Now, whenever you do this presentation, I'm going to change the word stresses here, because I don't want the word stressors to confuse stresses. This is about the gravity of customer satisfaction. This is about the importance of customer satisfaction, because the who you are and the why you are in your personal life is just as important in your business. Because in your business, your philosophy, your attitude, your managerial perspective, your managerial styles influence customer satisfaction from the employee side. Your staff have to believe in the products too. They're selling it. They're delivering it. That's what we're talking about from stressing customer satisfaction. Obviously, the goal is to meet customer needs. That's where your so what starts. You're filling in a need for someone, a solution. So the American Marketing Association defines marketing. All of this definition isn't important to me. The reason I have all of it up here is because I want you to look at specific words: activity, processes, communicating, delivering, and exchanging. It's the movement, ideas, value, needs, solutions, satisfaction. Okay. In this slide, 20 words, the word focus and the word benefits. That's your niche. Yet that is the entire service, customers, service isn't the right word. That's the entire value proposition world. You want your customers to focus on benefits. The only way they're going to be able to do that is if you communicate the value of what you're doing, of what you can do, of what you can add to a company when they hire you, or what a company can get when they buy your product or service. Because in 2020, I can do what you do the same as you do it. So how do we get different? Your people, your creativity, and your innovation. And you market that with your solution. The exchange. I'm going to go through this pretty quick because as an adult, you understand what the exchange is. You need a couple parties. They need to have something of value. It might not even be of value necessarily monetarily, but both people need to perceive that there's value in it. Communication and delivery is part of the marketing exchange. How you sell it, how you communicate the what, the who, the when, and why I need whatever it is you have is critical. Because if you're stumbling and if you're not sure and you lack confidence, I'm not buying it from you. I don't care if I've been buying the same product for 15 years. If the person's selling it to me tomorrow, seems a little shady, seems a little nervous, seems a little like they don't care, I'm done. And then the flip side of that from your side, the delivery. You can see that in every company you've bought something online with lately. What's a big part of their sales? When they can get it to you. Get it to you in 18 days for $1.50, or they get it to you in 1 day for $720. Or you get Amazon Prime and get it next day. It's a buyer's remorse. The freedom to accept or reject. The freedom to do it. Right? Because hopefully you're not in a high pressure sales atmosphere. Because where there isn't freedom to accept or reject is in the high pressure sales. Push, 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 push. You don't have to be pushy if you're solving a problem. Because your solution is something they need. If they don't realize they want it, you haven't marketed it right. And I'm skipping over the desire to deal with other parties because that's just straight up competition. It goes back to the fact that I can just go steal everything you do about your product and sell it in my business. Customer loyalty is a finicky thing in 2020. Sometimes, rightly so. Sometimes finicky customers can keep organizations honest. Sometimes they retract the other way. And because they don't believe that they can gain customer loyalty, they just become unethical. Typically, if you're listening to anything in my world, in my journey, you're moving away from doing things unethical. If not, holla. Because it comes with karma. Okay, the first thing in the slide is about the exchange may not even take place. You might not even get the job. Somebody might not even like your brand. You can see this happen on Shark Tank sometimes. Somebody will buy something, or the investor won't even really like the person's delivery or like the person's product, but they like the person who did it. This goes back to the brand. You never know, which is why you always need to shine. And it's not difficult to shine when you know your purpose. I mean, and of course, an agreement must be reached. Duh. You're selling something. I mean, if there's no agreement, you're stealing something. So, philosophies in marketing. When you're looking at this slide, it can seem a little so what. The reason I have this slide is because I want to talk to you about the different approaches. Why the different approach is important? Because you need to figure out whatever it is or wherever it is you want the job, or whoever's going to need your product, or wherever you're going to sell or market your brand. You need to know the what. Some organizations will market their production lines. What does that mean? They market what they're good at, the internal capabilities. We make decisions fast. We solve problems quickly. Annette, your production line would be, I'm a conflict resolution specialist.
Yep.
The sales side, I'm not a big fan of. I've worked in jobs when there have been high pressure sales. For me and Joel's core values, I'm empathetic, so I tend to feel for people. I need to feel that I'm doing right by you in my sales approach. In the sales orientation, oftentimes high pressure sales don't care. The tactics aren't about the person or the service, it's about the money. I'm not judging that. I'm just giving you, because while I'm not a high pressure sales person, if it's between my family and I not eating, I'm going to become pretty high pressure sales. Okay. The market, this is where we live. Market focus. Whatever product, whatever you have, you need to find out who it helps. Find out why they need it, why they need you. That is your market. You'll hear sometimes investors say, back to Shark Tank, oh, well, your product is it's just too narrow of a market. It's just too much of a niche. It doesn't mean you can't make money on it or become fulfilled in your life on it. It just might mean that there's a cap on how big your business might become. That doesn't mean you don't get to make money. It doesn't mean you don't become a strategist and an efficiency expert in your business. And it doesn't mean you change your business model. You might not want that. I don't know. But you have to know that there's a difference. Because whenever you're looking at what you're doing, that's what you look at. From the employment standpoint, looking for a job, well, if you want to find a job making shoes for one-legged people, you're going to have a challenge finding a position. I don't know why I just used that as an example. But that would be a real hard job to find. And if you are interested in a position like that, please call me because I want to know what's attractive to it. The societal part, satisfying customer needs. For me, it's the driver. That's how I walk into the office, into an interview, and I'm like, listen, this is how I can help you. Not even just your company, but I can help you personally. But I have to be careful not to be too confident. I don't want to sound like I'm talking smack or I'm bragging, because not only don't want the impact from that, that would make me feel bad. Like I wouldn't feel like the interview is a success that way. It's important to remain authentic. I want to help everyone around me. But to flip that around and turn it a little bit, when you're looking for an organization to work for, you want to see what they're doing to satisfy customer needs. Do they? Are they? Can they? Are you going there to help them do that? You still need to know. Skip through a few. I like to talk. Told you. Okay, let's go back one. So achieving a market orientation. Because this is so inclusive of everything that you're going to be doing as a human being trying to have a greater echo, as a human being trying to help themselves and grow, and as an organization trying to gain a greater market orientation, I want to talk about this part of it. Because this revolves around a place that Google and the internet have become the great equalizer, right? If I wanted to jump into a market, let's say, I don't know, let's say the water business. And I want to jump into the water business, but I'd have to do all kinds of research and data analytics and find metrics and then find people to interpret it and then see if I can get into this business to try to make some money. But now I can Google that. I can find out who my competition is. I can find out who my competition's customers are. I can find out maybe there isn't any competition. Maybe the customers don't even know I have a product they need. And if you're not sure about that, there's a whole section in Walgreens about things you've seen on TV. I mean, how many times have you seen something on TV going, oh, I wish I would have invented that? We do it like once a week here. I got a closet full of that stuff too, because I love it all. They market to me real well. You have to know who your customers are, what they want, when they want it. You ever watch TV during the day? You're home during COVID. It's not an accident that there's life insurance stuff on first thing in the morning and then career college stuff on in the evening, because they expect people that need career college and education and professional development to be up and active and watching TV at that particular time. People know when to market. You need to know if you're going to come to South Florida, right? I have a student that wants to create, she lives in Hialeah. She's a Cuban girl, and she wants to cook Cuban food. But she's asking me where she wants to move her family out of South Florida and still keep her business. But she wants to move to a place where there are no Spanish people, really. Does that mean that she can't open her business? No. Does that mean you're going to have to let people know what else you do? Yes. Going to be a bigger challenge? Yes. Do you need to change? Maybe. Do you need to move? Not sure. This is where the questions come. This is where the purpose is important, because the purpose will answer all of that. If you're purpose driven, you have answers to all of that. I need to move here because of this. I can't do the Cuban restaurant. Well, okay, but do you want to stay in the restaurant business? Yes. Then you can make the rest happen. But until you start to obtain information about the market and about the customers and about your competition, you're walking through it blind. Okay? You have to be able to look at the information as a total, as a whole, like a holistic approach. The strength side of it, the weaknesses. What opportunities are these things going to offer you? Are there any threats? Not just competition. Are there threats politically? Are there threats physically? Are there threats environmentally? And when I say politically, listen, if you get your stuff, if your product that you were marketing to people in January came from China, no matter what your political affiliation is or stance on COVID, that influenced how you made money. And if your business wasn't prepared for some kind of disruption in logistics and resources and ecosystems, well, it's likely you're out of business today. You have to examine all of it. The data's there. There's no reason for any organization to say, I didn't know. You can't. If there's anything that's inevitable in our life right now, it's change. You can't run an organization or invest in something in your life that is not going to help you through the turmoil and chaos that comes with change. Not in your relationships and not in your business. And I am speeding through this a little bit because we're running out of time. The action implementation process, this last bullet point on this slide, is a big deal. Because what you can't become, what you have to make sure, if you have to put stickers all over your house and in your car, that you can't become the person who's the idea guy or the idea girl, whatever it is. We all have that friend. Idea after idea after idea. One, maybe two, maybe 3 out of every 10 are really good ones. They don't act on any of them. Action is the game changer. You got to do. You got to move. That way you know when it's action, what's it going to do? Where am I going to move? How's it going to go? Well, then you could figure out, is this a good decision for me? Is this action going to move me towards my purpose or pull me away from it? Is this person in my life going to pull me away from my purpose or push me towards it? The rest of the decision-making process from there is pretty clear. If they're not helping you, they got to go. Societal marketing orientation is a huge deal for the good and bad of it. You don't do right by your employees and the environment that you're serving, the internet's going to find out and they're going to let the planet know. What kind of products? Are they toxic? Are they durable? Does your stuff break? Are you reliable? Is there validity in the things you say? Your products reusable? Are they recyclable? Listen, they might not be any of these things. You better make sure that you're not trying to market then and spending all of these resources and finances and allocating all this time and energy into marketing your stuff to people who don't value that. but it's difficult. People even want environmentally friendly gasoline now. It's important. You walk through Publix. I'm in South Florida. I don't know if you guys have Publix, but we have the shopping centers. And you know, when you walk by them now, you see the lights coming on as you walk down the aisle. Now, the companies, some of the goal of doing that is that it saves money. Why have the power on all day if you don't need it? But there's an environmental impact on it. And how many people do you think walk down the aisle and think, wow, they're only doing that to save a couple dollars? Or, wow, that's environmentally friendly. Even if it doesn't totally register, it creates a vibe. It creates a feeling. You want to be part of something that's trying to do good. Remember, I don't know if you guys have Jimmy John's where you're at, but Jimmy John's is a sub shop around here, and the owner got caught, not caught, but he posted pictures of himself hunting big game in Africa. People stopped eating at the restaurant because they didn't like the hunting. Market orientation, societal market orientation. And then now in 2020, there's the cancel culture. Whatever you're marketing to people, if there's one part of it that doesn't seem like it's doing right by people, you're going to get crushed. And that's the benefit of the cancel culture. I'm not a big fan of it because I don't know. I think it's a bit too reactive. But at the very least, people now have to think twice before they're going to try to get over on people. They have to think 2 or 3 times before, oh, I got a scam here. And in that regard, I'm grateful for it. I actually feel a little bit of security in it, knowing that, oh, do me wrong. Watch how I try to post, like the whole world's watching me. You know what I mean? But it's legitimate, and it adds some validity and reliability. So why not jump on that? I have a buddy of mine makes maybe $1 million a year on his real estate properties, barely uses social marketing. I don't get it. He's like, I make enough. Okay. I mean, I don't make $1 million a year. I'm not going to argue that. Whatever. But you can certainly see that there's billions of people that can access your things for free. It costs you time, but for free. Who's in charge? I don't love, it's actually quite frustrating when managers feel like they can just hide in the back. They don't want to show up on the floor. They don't want to be around the people. It's your business. You're supposed to shine through it. You're creating an inclusive atmosphere, aren't you? Because if you're not walking around and engaged, it's going to be really hard to do that. And if you don't believe me, follow the research. Real simple. Just Google inclusivity and perception gap. If you're not going to walk around and shine and market to your staff and market to your employees and market to your customers, you're leaving profits on the table. Why would you do that? Because leaving profits on the table means you're not doing everything you can to receive or meet or hug or squeeze or embrace or take your purpose into the cellular, your DNA. No one should ask who's in charge. I am. We are. Everybody's part of your purpose in your company, so everybody's engaged in the problem-solving components of the company. That's one component of who's in charge. Then you want your customers to be able to feel free to ask, suggest, give ideas. You need to make them feel valued. Because the moment a customer doesn't feel valued, they're going to the internet. And in another session, we'll talk about the cost of attaining customers, your return on investment. It's not cheap finding customers, just like it's not cheap finding employees. So the ones you have, You want to make them feel in charge and valued, empowered. The questions. So I want to be real face-to-face with you on this as we close out. When you're trying to determine what your philosophy is going to be, I suggest that you use a little bit of all of them. Just like your personality is not made of one single component. It's a whole bunch of you made up with a whole bunch of experiences, with a whole bunch of things into one brand with one purpose that's got to be communicated to the people who need it. It requires focus. You have to discuss, you have to know, you have to communicate what you can make best and what you can do best. Figure out, maybe there are things you can sell a little bit more aggressively. Maybe there is a market that receives that well. You're not going to be able to do any of it unless you know what the customers need. You're not going to be able to do any of it unless you know what the people need who are trying to hire you in an interview. And if you're not serving a need, if you're not filling a gap, it's going to be a lot more difficult to create fulfillment and value in your life. Because being a problem solver, and I know, Annette, you certainly resonate with this, but being a problem solver, being able to resolve conflict helps people. It allows them to grow and be at ease. That's a superpower. You can't do it until you figured out what the people around you need. You certainly can't figure it out until you figure out what you need and your customers and the market and the brand and your family and your car and your food and your health and your body all have needs. And you should have a notebook that says my spiritual needs and my financial needs, my health needs and my fitness needs. And yes, they're different because fitness is exercise and health, the inside of you. We talked about a pie earlier. How's it cooking? It's okay if one side cooks faster than the other. It's a long cook. You can just turn the pie a little bit. Because sometimes you might need a certain part of it to cook more. You might need to work on your fitness to get your health right. I don't know. The organization too, it has fitness. It is a healthier or not organization. What's the benefits? What's the value? Like, what are you doing it for? What's your so what? The societal component of marketing. How are you going to benefit the planet, your environment, the people around you, your town, your community? Because by doing nothing, you influence them. So that's the impact you want. You're in this professional development, this course, you're trying to gain this professional mindset to what? Not zap everybody around you into their own superpower? You don't think that's going to make your life better? Making the people around you better? You've made a mistake. And making the people around you better so that you can be a better you starts with finding purpose. Your purpose becomes your brand, and you market that thing to everybody who needs it. It's your job, it's your responsibility, and it's what you need to do. I'm here every Friday, 1 to 3. I plan on seeing you, Annette. And anybody else who wants to show up and listen, you can check out our YouTube stations. Google us at American Heritage College. Annette, I'm here for you. You can reach out to me. Find me any way you want. Anybody listening can do the same way. You can Google my name, Joel Nagelbush. American Heritage College. I'll come up, so will the videos. And if you know anyone who might be interested in sharing their story, the topic, this umbrella is ordinary people doing extraordinary things, and ordinary people's going through growth and change is extraordinary. Sharing your story helps other people realize, hold up, man. It gives what you're going through some purpose. On that note, I'm going to wish you a fantastic weekend.
You too.
Again, I'm here for questions, and thanks for taking the time to listen.
No, thank you. What happened to the other guy? Where'd he go?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Well, you have a good weekend too, and thank you. And I do have a notebook for me.
Awesome, Annette. That's great to hear. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.